Moon and time. There's a crack of time in the moon. If you see it, you'll be thrown dead east. That's why we don't look at the moon very much anyway. The moon controls time in ways we don't know. We don't know because we haven't looked. But when we look, we will find out just exactly what is up with that moon. This one's called Gone Diary. Today I dropped my diary into an open sewer grate. It fit perfectly through the slot. It felt so natural, like the love of a loss. Okay, we're going back to the moon for a minute. The goddamn moon base. The moon hangs there, so low, over my room. Its UV magnet pulls at me and won't let rest. The hose is there, always dangling down to scrape against the chimney and the roof. Why can't anyone else see the moon? This is why I keep moving. Other days I love the moon. It sings sweet lullabies in the ether, going on with its illogical plot.
Un docteur anglophone traduit les inquiétudes de son patient avec Google. An English-speaking doctor translates the concerns of his patient with Google. Écoute, à quoi bon être poète? Listening, what good is being poet? Beau dire, ce mal semble dans la tête comme marteau, feu, enclume, clou, couteau, ou l'éclat d'une baudroie ou des aurores boréales. Beautiful say, this pain seems at the head like hammer, fire, anvil, nail, knife, or the brilliance of a monkfish or northern lights. À la fin, pour ce qui importe, on fait toujours mauvaise traduction. La douleur est une langue où les mots sont minables tentatives à ce qu'on ne peut que vivre dans le corps. At the end, for what matters, we always do bad translation. Pain is a language where the words are shabby attempt. We can only live in the body. Écoute, docteur, toi qui connais la souffrance, dis simplement, ce mal d'aujourd'hui, je m'en tirerai avec de l'aide, ou est-ce une peine de mort? Listening, doctor, you who know suffering, tell simply, this evil of today, I me would shoot with help, or is it a troubled death? Card game with disabled friends. Death was at the table, because of course it always is. We were in that moment, no more or less aware of it than you. What else is there to say, except that we were young and old and maybe pained, or that we played and breathed and were? To a dying friend. This one was written for my elderly friend, Denise. You say, I was so beautiful once, but I never knew that ancient beauty. Only this body, like a forest fire, like a field of bones, its boundaries impossible to distinguish from the bedsheet. You say, I wish they'd let me die in my red coat. But no, that thin blue robe is home. You say, we are not really here in this now. And true, together we are Janus. You say, tell me stories. I give you your words. A fashionista on a Vespa teasing dreams and gas money out of officers. A fabric stitcher with gods in her needle. A friend asking for a final sip of whiskey from my flask. You say, let us now drink that great unknown. Yes, here's to all those stories never told. This last one, I'm doing a lot of work with prose poetry these days. This is Monster Mine, Mon Monstre. The monstrous started in the self. By that I mean the tongue. In monster, there was mine, mon, monstre, mon monstre. Once, I dreamt a man made himself small and climbed into my mouth. The man had teeth like knives and chewed off the words I was learning. The man on my tongue said new language was the spawn of Babel. And boy, you best guard yourself against those who would make you more like them. By which he meant there was something sacred in the singular. Of course, it was in my tongue, so garçon and garde are some of the words he said while he lamented le sort de l'assimilé. Like new language was both fate and spell. The man would think me the monster. In writing, I have torn our tongue from him, made the man more like me. Now I write, at this the man would have an angry mien, and I do not think of mine while writing mean, le mien, mon monstre. Except it seems I do. Maybe the man sits on my tongue still, lamenting the days I was sacred.
The first 4 lines of Shakespeare's Sonnet 104, which go like this. To me, fair friend, you can never be old. For as you were when first your eye I eyed, such seems your beauty still. 3 winters cold have from the forests shook 3 summers' pride. So my poem 104. To me, you were a freaky, fair-skinned father figure of song. Uncensored lyricist, your naked verse caressed my unnubile 10-year-old deflowerable ecstasy. How young we were when first we heard of your eye caught by Nicky masturbating in a hotel lobby. Aphrodisiacal purple synth chords, electronic hymns to funk, your androgynous beauty lashed titillating throaty sex at nuclear winters and Cold War's threat. A little red Corvette drove me from the conformist interests of schoolbooks into the revolution's love manifesto. I hummed verses of Purple Rain as I developed breasts. The mixed race liquid gender vibe, the auteur pompous sparkles and rings topped charts. Funky fellow, pre-auto-tune imp, spinning turntable gold, you inspired sensuous excess. Pop rock father, sugar daddy, my innocence was lost to the sounds of head and doves crying. I seduced a girl in the recreation room of her parents' split level, bubblegum perfumes, pink skin, thrilling tongues, soft, wet, hot juvenilia. Madonna's crosses burned, her sinfulness commoditized was our first fetish. Meanwhile, your fresh mouth was horrifying, rich, mummy and senatorial ballbuster Tipper Gore. Parental advisories hadn't yet happened. Your filth labeled vulgar by purity police. Kids learned to dig albums authorities branded explicit. Stealing from Little Richard, Curtis Mayfield, Marvin Gaye, Chuck Berry, Elvis, James Brown, Stevie Wonder, and Bowie, at a pace Hyper would call hyperactive. You dropped so many tracks, your label sweated. The unpronounceable symbol, which became your thing, on your cheek, slave. Frustrated music journalists lacking adequate font for the artist formerly known as. A soundless glyph, as the artist's name, was contractual insurrection. Masculine, feminine, eye-lined, manly babe, decimating categories of groove, defy mortality, Hush our fears of life without prince, fears of this opioid-strutted age. The purple one vibrated at a mauver level. Pleasures of you were born while he was. His bedroom, a butterfly sanctuary. Man, a sexy motherfucker's dead. My inner city. Well, says this book from a long time ago, I'm trying my best to stay off the dope, but reality is a stiff hit to take without a mixer. How fog softens sharp focus, blessedly blunts incisive sight. The fuck of it is, I mean to give clear witness, and the sobering truth is that the day-building, self-conscious American goal sees me as variant, deviant, a representational lie. My dark part will not yet stand for our idolized whole. A part of us wishes I'd die. So instead of banging my head against towering ideal walls, instead of suicidally crashing that blissful other ignorance party, I'll fly an alternate plane into my own madness. I'll kill off, muzzle, euthanize my ethical heart, ghettoized. I confess I'm compelled to cross via cannabis the conceptual lines between fiction and fact, us and them, stoned and sober, rational and criminal mind. Isn't high even? Isn't high level with an overseeing, elite, law-writing, hardwired, happy, discriminating, dominant I? I too want to believe everything I hear me telling myself. I want what is beautiful to be just what I say it is. Reckless? Must my poems be my most policed territory? Ought I to edit here nerve's weak need to observe a moment of weed uncensorship? Protect my peace agenda from the terror of altered states? Warning. I dream the public page as a reconstruction zone and language the heavy machinery I use to build the inner world's permanent landmarks. A freedom somewhere I can be both out there and secure. So Lord, tell me the code and I'll operate in it safely, squarely, and as faithfully as the crane that once soberly set the steel sure beams of the Trade Center.